now for the Shop Report with
Barbershop Jay.
What up, sports fans? Welcome to the Shop Report. I'm Barbershop Jay. I'll be your host for the day. Here's what's happening. Caps protest and the aftermath. But before we dive into that, let me apologize to all those who follow and support the Shop Report. I know it's been a minute since we last hollered, but if you out there like I'm out there and you got a 9-to-5, you know, sometimes life take precedent over what it is we really want to do, right? But at the same time, if you're for me and I'm for you, then you understand this too. No matter how much time passes since we last talked or conversated, when we do get together, seems like old times. And our mantra is and always will be, we are of the people and not above the people. For without you, there will be no us. Now, let's dive right in. We all know the story about Kolin Kaepernick, his protesting of the flag, and those people who choose to put color first, their response to his protest. Let me say this again. Kolin Kaepernick did not protest, take a knee, kneel, whatever the case may be, in regards to the flag itself per se. But again, in regards to or in response to the flag for which it stands. Okay? Let's be clear on that. Because unfortunately, there are some people in this country who put color instead of character first. And to all my Caucasian friends, colleagues, constituents, this is not for you. Because contrary to some Caucasian people who will say, oh, I got a black friend, that's not what this is. That's not what me saying to my Caucasian friends. That's not what this is. Because those who are Caucasian, those Caucasian friends of mine are my friends because they put character first. When I approach them or they approach me when we first met, you know how they say you could read people, so to speak. I'm not clairvoyant or nothing like that, but the first bag they came out of was about character, about betterment, which ain't got nothing to do with color. But again, unfortunately, there are those in this country who put color first. So this is for you. Why is it that every other culture in this country can celebrate, or every other nationality in this country can celebrate their culture, except blacks in America? Why is that? Really? Black History Month in February? If we are descendants from Africa, quote unquote, the motherland, I ain't never seen no snow in Africa. But I digress. Now let me give y'all the rest. Yes, the flag represents those who died for this country. Nobody's arguing that. But that alone is not what the flag represents. It also represents slavery. You cannot disconnect the two. And for you to try and do so shows the indignance and ignorance of you. Let me say it again. The indignance and the ignorance of you. Black folk in this country cannot celebrate their culture without some opposition. Why? If we are one nation under God. You tell me, what is Kaepernick doing wrong? As some have said, him being a professional athlete, the NFL quarterback to be exact. There are other players in the NFL who have done far worse criminal activities. and have gotten an opportunity, a second chance, which America is supposed to be so lauded for. And here it is, this guy, all he did was take a knee in protest against something that he felt was not right, which again is what America is supposed to be founded on. Did not America fight for her independence from the British? And yet black Americans continue to fight for their independence in America? Fair or foul? Explain this to me. I'm open, minded, not blinded. Because you see, in this country, there's a double standard. Always has been, always will be, unfortunately. But this issue of racism and Cap's protest has opened up a whole new can of worms that needed to be opened up. We can no longer, and I said we, can no longer in this country continue to stick our heads in the sand or dance around this issue of racism. Yes, because another word, I'm going to give you another word that starts with the letter R. Reality, real. That's two words, I know. Because that's what this issue of racism is. It's real. Don't take my word for it. Please. You know why? Michael Bennett, the defensive end for the Seattle Seahawks, not only did he sit in protest in support of Kaepernick, but he came out and said the effectiveness of anthem protests would grow with white players' involvement. And guess what happens? Yeah, Chris Long. That's right. Son of Howie Long. A white player. Did what exactly? You all know the story. Self-devalved. The Browns player. That's right. The Cleveland Browns player. Stood up in protest. Because this is an issue of humanity. And those who are opposed to what Kolin Kaepernick did in regards to the flag for which it stands, that is oppression. And a stay in your place. And listen here, don't give me this garbage or this yarn, if you would, about, oh, these athletes are making so much money. That don't, listen, so therefore they don't have a right to take a stand for what they believe is right or what they believe in? Because they're making so much money? How crass is that idea? Jackie Robinson himself said, I cannot stand for the flag. I cannot sing the national anthem. Why? Because I know that I'm a black man in a white world. That was then, and here today, this is now. We're still dealing with this issue. But you know the crazy part in all of this? The African American athletes, pro football players such as Ray Lewis and LaShawn McCoy and Jermichael Finley, basically saying, oh yeah, Kaepernick, he's making a fool of himself. He's just okay. What he's doing is causing a distraction. What he is on the football field in terms of his play is separate from who he is and the cultural bias that continues to be prevalent in this country today. The LaShawn McCoy. What do you see when you look in the mirror? Kaepernick is just okay, not good enough for the distractions. Are you kidding me? Ignorant, blind. No offense to those who are literally blind. I'm saying blind in the ways of cannot see reality. This is insane. Oh, and Seattle's Justin Britt, another white player, also stood. What they are imposing and are supporting are the social injustices and the police brutality in this country. And that's, again, not saying all police. Like, you cannot stereotype, regardless of race. I got a 9 to 5. I'm raising my children to be exemplary, with integrity, scruples, and morals. But I can't tell you how many times I'm walking down the street and I see a Caucasian woman cross the street and clutch her purse. And it ain't no different for me saying all white people is this or all Caucasian people is that. It's wrong on any front. Predispositions and being presumptive. It's wrong, period. Because hate, racism, those things are taught. I've seen black children and white children who have not been tainted by the world's vices, if you would. Laughing, hugging, playing. They don't know no better. Just like your ABCs, and then your ABCs into words, and then words into sentences, and sentences into paragraphs, that has to be taught. And of all the black athletes to come out and say something, I was most shocked by Jim Brown, the man, the myth, the legend. I don't desecrate my flag. Think Kolin Kaepernick should pick football or activism. Ain't this the same guy who stood with Muhammad Ali in the 1960s, along with Bill Russell and a few others I can't remember, whose names I can't remember. Let me say it like that. Mr. Community Activist. Football is my occupation. It ain't got nothing to do with who I am in this country and how I'm viewed or perceived. By my appearance. What's the saying? Clothes don't make the man. Color don't either. And Jermichael Finley, I'll get back to Jim Brown in a second. Jermichael Finley, his comments, Lynch, and Marshawn Lynch, we already know Marshawn Lynch. We already know he gonna be who he gonna be. You know what I'm saying? Real is what it get when it comes to that cat. Lynch, Bennett, and Kaepernick's protest is a phony marketing tool. Really? You gotta be kidding me, man. The most asinine stuff come out of these, man. Listen, that's why I say CTE in football, man. It's a brain disorder. It's got to be, and I'm not diminishing or lessening CTE. I mean, come on now. These guys playing a collision sport. Gladiators. Every down is like combat. So there has to be some lessened degree of cognizance. And nothing says that more than the comments that these cats is coming out of their mouth with. What color do you think you are? Like Mos Def said on his album, Black on Both Sides, no matter how many zeros you got on your check, they still see you, those who do, not all, as Mr. N-I-double-G. And guess what? Jermichael Finley's wife, of all people, who is Caucasian, checked him on it. You know why? Because those who stand with Kaepernick, as I do, understand what's right is right and what's wrong must be addressed. Period. Now back to Jim Brown, the clown, who I've lost so much respect for. Kolin has to make up his mind whether he's truly an activist or he's a football player. The two don't go together. If you're trying to be both, football is commercial. And what that got to do with culture? You have owners. Ding, 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 ding. Let's sit right there for a minute. Owners. Ownership and the connotation of does not change because the amount of money that you being paid or that a player is being paid, regardless of the sport. Football is commercial. You have owners, you have fans, and you want to honor that. Honor what? That's what I want to know. A flag under which people were lynched, killed for expressing their right that this country said in its Constitution or Declaration of Independence or whatever document that is, said that every citizen has the right to, with liberty and justice for all. All but who? Miss me with the rhetoric, the flowery rhetoric. Jim Brown is an idiot. His accolades on the football field pale in comparison to the that came out of his mouth in regards to Cap. If anybody should be standing with Cap, he should have been the first one. Because the only difference between standing with Ali then and standing with Cap now is the calendar. Different situation, but the premise is the same. And then John Lynch. Listen, just like Trent Dilfer, man, stay in your lane, man. Stay in your lane. Because I'm thinking you done had a couple concussions yourself. John Lynch wondered if Kaepernick is more interested and active in their football career. As for the quarterback's practice of kneeling last season during the national anthem, which, of course, many people believe is the cause of his unemployment, and it is. Jim Brown made it clear. He made it clear that he was not on board with that form of protest. Well, then how should he protest, Jim? Well, Jim says, I'm going to give you the real deal. Whoever this is, with this article that was written, whoever it is he was speaking with, I'm an American, the ex-running back said. I don't desecrate my flag and my national anthem. I'm not going to do anything against the flag and national anthem. What do you mean when the same flag did something against you and your people? But this is my country, and I'll work out the problems, but I'll do it in an intelligent manner. How was Colin's manner unintelligent? If you have a cause, I think you should organize it, present it in a manner where it's not only you standing or sitting on one knee, but a lot of people that are going to get behind each other and do something about it. What difference do it make whether he walked in the front door or the back door? He's still in the house. Now, that might be a bad analogy, but y'all get where I'm going. Now, the fact that there are some Caucasian players who are in support of the African-American players standing for it, now what say you, Jim? If Jackie Robinson, who we all know again broke the color barrier when it comes to baseball, can say then, at a time where it was much more, the peril for black athletes was much more heightened. I'm still trying to figure out how such a notable figure who still is the standard when it comes to NFL running backs in NFL period, Jim Brown, to this day. How can you say anything contrary to what Jackie Robinson said about it? This is the ignorance in which I speak of. Either that or he's being paid well by the Browns, because we all know that story too. Some Browns players stood or kneeled in protest. Oh my gosh, the backlash here in Cleveland was akin to or equal to when Art Modell took the Browns out of here. Listen, I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to keep on saying it. The Shop Report is sports commentary from a barbershop perspective, but it's commentary from a barbershop perspective because we discuss it as it relates sports, as they relate to everyday life. Because what some fans and their emotion tied to their fandom fail to realize is that although a player has on a uniform, there's still a person underneath that uniform. That uniform comes off. The skin color does not. So miss me with all that jargon about, oh, if it's a certain way, ain't no certain way to do it. But being willing to do it, that's what time it is. Why put off for tomorrow what you can do today because you're trying to figure out a way? Cap made a decision. And as a result, people are discussing it, and rightfully so. And not behind closed doors where they can change the channel. See, it then went beyond the idiot box. Walk a mile in my shoes and then tell me how I feel. Then let me hear you say that same That's why I see cats, Jim Brown included, because I'm not giving him a pass because he rushed for 14,000 yards or whatever it is. Not no more. Not when it comes to this. Him, Jermichael Finley, Ray Lewis, and I'm a Hurricane fan. LaShawn McCoy and all them other dudes with these asinine comments. When I hear these dudes say this kind of stuff, man, you're so disconnected and indoctrinated, it ain't even funny. Ivan Pavlov, look him up, had a theory called classical conditioning. And if these cats ain't classically conditioned, I don't know who is. But I know who ain't. Kolin Kaepernick. Michael Bennett. Chris Long. Seth DeValve. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And one more again, it's high time in this country that we put this thing and this issue of racism out front and stay away from the propaganda. Because there are those in the media where they don't care about right and wrong, like a paid attorney. They don't care nothing about right and wrong. It's about propagation, racism, sexism, colonialism, all the isms. Sweeps week. That's all they care about. Not all, but many. Because we here are in the media as well. We trying to give it to you straight. If I'm missing out on something, please, by all means, email us, theshopreport365@gmail.com, or hit us up on Facebook. We'll be glad to discuss it. But on this issue, it's no way in the world that you're going to tell me that everybody got equal rights, but yet and still when we go to exercise that equal right, oppression or being oppressed should not be the result of. Double standards? Listen, I once heard, growing up as a kid, The Last Poets. My mom and dad used to play this. It was an album at the time, not CDs. Yes, I'm that old. The Last Poets had a song. And in it, if I'm not mistaken, because my memory does, sometimes, senility will kick in. So forgive me if I add or take away or if I remissed or messed up here, but I'll put it out here for you. Blessed are those who struggle. Oppression is worse than the grave. Better to die for a noble cause than to mentally die a slave. Now let that sink in. This thing is real, man, and it ain't going nowhere. It's here. Do you all understand what's happening? There's a changing of the guard, so to speak. There's a disruption in the universe. People are so connected to the physical, sports, money, superficial, materialistic, that they fail to realize or refuse to see that there's an esoteric, there's something beyond us. You can't dismiss that. You can't take that out of the equation and think everything on. You ain't here because of you. Y'all better get your priorities in order. You underdig? And it don't stop. With these players standing up, more players should, and I believe will, stand up. While players like Jim Brown should sit down. I want to be in his corner. Jim Brown talking about Kaepernick. And I do think, God bless him, but that's not my leadership. You know what I'm reminded of when I hear these cats, Jermichael Finley and Jim Brown, all them two. I'm reminded of the character that Samuel L. Jackson played in The Road to Django. That's right. Snakes. And I'm sure you've all heard the story. And if you haven't, I'm about to tell it. The man who was walking home one day and it was cold outside and he seen a snake in the road. And the snake said, "Hey, man, pick me up, man. Take me home. It's cold out here." And the man said, "No, I'm not doing that. You're a snake." He said, "Oh, no, come on, man. I'm not going, no, but no, I'm not going to bite you." So the man picks him up, take him home. And guess what happened? The snake bit him. He said, "Man, I thought you said you weren't going to bite me." He said, "Man, listen here. You knew what I was when you picked me up." And that's what these dudes remind me of. That's what they represent now to me. You don't speak out against this cat. And you're dealing with some of the same oppression or oppressive issues that he's dealing with. Because you're getting paid. You scared to lose your endorsements, your contract, or whatever it is, or there'll be some backlash. Because you don't do right or spend your money right, you fearful of some fallback, or you don't have nothing to fall back, or that you might not have nothing to fall back on. Clowns. Jesse Robinson spoke out against it. This might not seem pertinent to a lot of you people, and I don't mean that in a condescending way or nothing, but to a lot of folk. And some of you have heard me say this before, so pardon the redundancy, but I just think that some of the things I said before continue to be pertinent to the issues and topics that we discuss. Pastor Vernon John, the pastor who was pastor of the church, can't think of the name of it either right now, it doesn't come to mind, before Martin Luther King, he said, if a man is not willing to die for what he believes in, he is not fit to live. So you can at least take a stand. At least take a stand. The national anthem. Are you kidding me? Whose anthem is it? When black men who in this country who are raising their hands, not even done nothing, being shot and killed. How's that my anthem? Or in layman's term, my mantra. Something memorized and said over and over again, something I should be proud of. How am I, as a black man in this country, how is that something to be proud of? But those who have a problem with Kaepernick's and them folks who got a problem with that, you have not seen you can't see the world through my eyes. Because you have not fallen victim to what they call it, white privilege. Ain't no such thing for black folk. When white boys do it, it's success. That's right. Success. When black boys do it, it's suspect. Most deaf. Black on both sides. It's an unfortunate reality in this country. And it's not going to go away by erasing it off the chalkboard. Nope. It ain't going nowhere. When you want to deal with something or something that should be dealt with, you got to do something about it. Can't just talk about it. Got to do something about it. And everybody, black or white, who stand with Kaepernick are putting their money where their mouth is. But all y'all superficial, materialistic, scared to lose a couple dollars or endorsement. Oh no, I ain't gonna. That's why they call them house. I digress. Y'all know the rest. Do something or start spending your money a little bit more wisely, and you'll have enough in the coffers where you can say, you know what? Yeah, I'm about to go out here and take a stand. Because you could be next to get shot in the back. Yeah, I'm saying it right here and right now. It is a war on black men. Always has been, always will be. This country is coming undone at the seams, and it should, because it's been living a lie since its existence. America, for which it stands. Columbus. Discovered what? How you going to discover something that was already here? Yeah, and I'm talking about America and the falsehood that she represents and that flag. You figure deal me? Yeah. Because at the end of the day, if we just speak on it, then it's going to go round and round and round and round and round. Ain't nothing going to get done. What's that other saying? Don't talk about it, be about it. It takes courage for one to stand up against many, or the machine, or the entities, or the powers that be. Y'all better take y'all's emotion out y'all's fandom and start paying attention to what's really going on behind the scenes. Y'all know what I say. Don't just take the manifest that they're showing you. That's that which is on the surface. Man, ask questions. Peel back the top layer. Peel back the first 50 layers and look at the latent, that which is underneath. Stop worrying about them dollars that you ain't getting or them dollars that you think you might be losing. I'm not driven by money, although I understand in this country you need it in order to drive. But in the end, ain't going to keep you alive. Martin Luther King himself said, we don't know when we're going, how we're going, or what we're going to have when we leave here. But guess what? What we can control, that which we leave behind, the legacy. And what Cap is doing will forever be remembered, as well as those who stand with him, regardless of race, creed, or color. Because it's about the human race. That's what the protest is about. That's what they are standing for. Humanity. You heard? And on that note, it's been fun, but we got to run. Appreciate y'all for listening to the Shop Report. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and now iTunes. Or email us, theshopreport365@gmail.com. And if that don't work, Google it. And remember, the next time y'all want to know what's really going on, man, come to the shop. Walk-ins are always welcome. Holla.